Hi, my name's Terry. This is my wife, Kelly. We've been coming to the park for almost 5 years. God really used some amazing ways to bring us to the park.
As we were praying for a new church home, it was the summer of 2010. Literally within a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, all of these events started happening. It started with Terry's coworkers inviting him, and you get an invite and you're like, people invite you to church all the time, it's okay. A few weeks later, Terry's mom had suffered an aneurysm and had been life flighted down to Herman downtown. And we were on our way in to see her one day. She was on life support at that time. And we ran into a stranger in the parking lot. The stranger's name is Mark Ward. He goes to the park. And I have no idea how the conversation was. I can't tell you what we talked about. But at the end of that conversation, he let us know that he lived in Katy and he'd love to have us come out to the park. And so that was our second invite in a matter of a couple of weeks.
We moved into our home in September of 2010, and a short while after we moved in, we had a little boy stop me on the sidewalk as I was going out to check the mail. He got off his bike and he extended a gift bag to me, and it had a granola bar and an invitation to Parkway Fellowship. And of course I received the gift bag from him, and I immediately looked at it and I knew that God was answering our prayer. And I walked into the house and I told Kelly, I said, "You're never going to believe what just happened." And I handed it to her, and she said, "I guess we're going to the park next week." And I said, "You got that right." We got active in small groups and really plugged into those before we started actively serving. Through those small groups, walls were torn down. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I was still active in my addiction when we started coming to the park. And I would go into church on Sundays, and I would sing praise and worship songs, and I would cry, but those were tears of shame because I was hiding. I was hurting, and I needed to heal. And God knew what it was going to take for those walls to come down. And I experienced a place of brokenness in my life that brought me to my knees. And I finally had to make a decision in April of 2013 to surrender, to fully give myself over to Him.
Reading through the small group catalog, I saw a new small group, and it was Surrendering the Secret, a highly confidential group for women that had gone through abortion. And it was so emotional for me just to read that in the catalog, that I went to a church that was going to help me heal from the ugliest part of myself. 15 years ago, I made a decision that I'll regret for the rest of my life, to have an abortion. And in that small group of women, I experienced an unfathomable amount of love. I learned that when Jesus died on that cross, it was for me. There's nothing that says that here's a list of sins that Jesus died for and here's a list of sins He didn't die for. It was for all of them. And so all that shame that I carried around for 15 years, and the hurt, being at the park where we can, through Terry's small group that he experienced, and my small group, my goodness, we were a train wreck.
Yeah.
But now, we'll tell anybody that wants to talk.
Mm-hmm.
This is the ugliest part of us, and this is this is what God's done in our life.
Think about if that little boy hadn't stopped on that sidewalk right in front of me, what life would be like. I would still be bound in chains of addiction. I would be alone. I wouldn't have one of the greatest blessings of my life that's sitting right next to me. I wouldn't have my beautiful daughter. Our boys, their lives would have been torn apart by divorce. That one piece of the puzzle, that little boy on the bicycle, altered our family tree. It altered our futures forever.